Okay. Thank you. Sarah, can you confirm that you can see my screen?
We can indeed. It looks perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I am Elyvin. I have two surnames, Nkhonjera and Chawinga, but we're not going to my surnames. I am here to represent Nyasa Mining Cooperative, where I am the General Secretary. And just a brief background of Nyasa Mining Cooperative. It's a cooperative, or it's a grouping of people that are in the mining business, small-scale mining business in Malawi, interested mainly in gemstones. And the association or the cooperative, it supports its members to sustainably mine the stones, as well as to process in a bit of value addition and also marketing. So it's just a grouping that we formed a few years ago, and we're trying to see where we can go with this. And on the other hand, you can see the logo of Australian Award. It's because I'm one of the scholars, Australian Award scholars. I participated in the short course from that was in 2018. So that's where I got an interest to look at gemstones. How can we add value to our gemstones? And now this attracts my topic, or this is what caused me to come up with this topic of transforming the low value stones into $1 million. And to begin with, why I thought of that topic, I look at my country, Malawi. It's considered as one of the poorest, the poorest countries in the world. And whenever I sit, I ask myself that, why is it that we're poor? Is it true that we're poor? How can we move out of this situation? So one of the areas where I got my answer is that indeed, we are not poor. We have quite a number of minerals. As you can see on the screen, Malawi has a number of mineral resources. We have uranium, we have coal, we have limestone, which is mainly, these are actually industrial minerals, very important for construction of the country, or for the construction phase of the country. And these are actually minerals that can first be used in Malawi, and excess can also be exported to other countries where there's need. And we also have a lot of gemstones in Malawi. But why is it that we are poor? We are poor because if you look now on this slide, on your left, we export raw materials. We export the unprocessed stones, unprocessed gemstones. If you look at rose quartz, clear quartz, or even the one that I'm holding in my hand now, this is clear quartz. The way it is just a stone, a low value stone. And this is the one that we've been exporting for a long time to China and a number of other countries. What does that result into? It results into exportation of what? Of jobs. As a result, most Malawians are not employed. We export value, because if you export a product that has not been processed, you sell it at a lower price, and even the taxes that the government get from that, it's very, very low. But the very same stone, if you were to add value, then it would be looking the way it's looking now on our right, that we can do quite a number of things. So my question is, should we always, send something 1,000 miles away for it to be processed? Can the same thing be done just in country? So since 2017, these are the questions that I've been asking myself. And as much as I have other jobs, I do other jobs, this still draws my passion, and hence making this presentation today. So in the next slide, I'm just going to take you through what I have been doing since 2018. What have we really been doing to make sure that we don't continue to export jobs? In the first photo, the one where you can see a lady wearing a golf shirt, a red golf shirt, that's me. That was actually in the field. So the first thing is, let's mine responsibly. Can we stop people from mining? The answer is no, you can't stop, but we can support to mine sustainably. So this was a meeting with me, some of the miners in the field, just to see how do they do the mining, what how is the environment, what else can we do? So from this visit, we had actually a training now for women. So that's the second photo, a training for women where we're looking at how do they recognize the potential stone? What do they do with those stones? And these are women that were already mining. So we actually engaged the right people, the ones that are already in mining, looking at what are the gaps, what are the things that they need to consider if they are to mine sustainably. So I'll also mention that this one, we also did it together with Nzimba Gemstone Association. and Nyasa Mining Cooperative. You can find them on LinkedIn. So from the initial discussions that we had, it was mainly like taking them through the basic gemology, responsible mining, responsible sourcing, and all that. And the next thing, we identified a few women that we also engaged them in value addition, or in cutting and processing of stones. So my ask was, apart from teaching them the basic gemology, we also have to know how to process these stones. How do we stop exporting the jobs that I mentioned earlier on? And second, and in the fourth photo, the lady that you can see wearing a green wrap, a green cloth, she is one of the women. She's one of the top women miners in Malawi. She owns over 3 mines. Her name is Elyvin Nkhonjera, and she actually loves spreading her news. She's one of the women that has really inspired me. And indeed, she's one of the women that has been exporting raw stones. But together we're exploring that. So what can we do? Is there something that can be done for us to move out of this? So I personally, with my interest and also with the support from the Nyasa Mining Cooperative, we procured just a few equipments. And these are the equipments that you can see on the second line of my presentation. The first photo on the left, on my left, that's actually banded amethyst. In its raw context, it looks like that. To be honest, it's not attractive. You can't sell to someone and say that, oh no, I have bought a stone. And it's actually the one that I'm also carrying in here. I don't know if it's clear, but yeah, it's this one. It's not attractive, but the same process, I put it in the machine, a preforming machine, and immediately you can see the third photo. I know it's not very visible, but then you can actually see the change, that the very same stones now they're looking far much better. And we have even went a step further now to put them in gift bags, gift boxes. The one that you can see on the fourth photo, and it's also the one that I'm carrying here with some gemstones inside. So for this processed stone, at least we can sell for $15 or $14 per package. Same thing that if you can see on the first photo, the unprocessed one, you sell that for less than $1 and sometimes 50 cents. So if we are able to do this at small scale, what if we empower more people to do this kind of work? How much is the Malawi going to benefit as a country in terms of the tax collection, as well as also for creation of creation of jobs for so many women, youth, and the majority that are now jobless, that they're trying to find ways of surviving. So my point is, as developing countries, we do have the opportunity to transform our economy, but we are not fully utilizing it. How can we best utilize this, or how can we get there whilst we're also thinking of responsible mining? So in my last slide is just to show a few equipments that we have been using. This is equipment that cost less than $2,000 just to be able to do this at a small scale. But now it's mainly like a case study, giving a case to the government, giving a case to the development partners, giving a case to individuals, even the business people, that don't you see this as an opportunity? Can't we do something on the ground? And with the pandemic, with the pandemic coronavirus, people are facing so many economic challenges. Maybe this can be the first answer to this, the first solution to this. So I really try to be on time. The first photo, that's also me. And I have my support system. That's my son, who was just watching and observing what I'm doing. And I hope I'm creating a future geologist, and he's going to love stones as well. So thank you so much for your attention. This is what I had to share today.
Fantastic, Elyvin. That is absolutely brilliant. Massive round of applause from all of us on the other side of our muted microphones. That is fantastic. And yes, I too hope that you have a budding geologist in the making there, in the form of your son. It's brilliant. So just with regards to some questions for you, there's lots of lovely questions coming in on both chat and in the Q&A. And Ludovine asks, she says that she really likes the fact that this initiative combines direct training with some formalization and, of course, transparent commercialization. What is the government's support or response to this?
Okay. Of late, we have actually observed the government now getting interested. I'll say that in the past 4 or 5 years, even 3 years, the government was more interested in large-scale mining because they didn't have trust on the small-scale mining. They felt like it's a sector that is uncoordinated. But with now coming up with a few cooperatives, associations, the government has seen the potential of the sector. So now, actually, last week, the President announced the government's interest to support the small scale mining. So we are proving a point. Now the government is getting interested.
Fantastic. That's really, really exciting. And yeah, Ludovine is there clapping, going woohoo. And another point here that's come in from Jane, and she's asking about the investment side with regards to this. And obviously you mentioned that some of the equipment you've got costs what, less than $2,000 per piece of equipment. Is this something, I mean, would you want investment from either other large companies or from the government or anything, or is this something that you're building up yourself?
Okay, no, actually, it's something that would also want investment from large scale companies, but basically to go in partnership with the small scale miners. And the reason is because they're trying to promote or to enhance, to support the small scale miners. So it's something that actually has to be done with the multi-stakeholder approach. One, the government enabling the policies. Two, the private sector being willing to invest together with the locals so that together we uplift. So, and the civil society, of course, advocating for the responsible sourcing and environmental sustainability.
Brilliant. And so I guess what this means is, so when you're mining the raw stones, the areas that you're mining from, are you in close proximity to any large scale mining, or are you totally separate from large scale mining?
Okay, most of the places where the gemstones are being mined, they are separate from the large scale mining companies. And maybe just to mention that please make me correct, some of the Chinese investors took advantage of this by engaging or partnering with the locals, where they are just the license holders, but they're not really benefiting from the process. So it was still the Chinese mining the raw materials and exporting them to China. So that's what we're trying to kill, that don't just take advantage, but rather let's do it collaboratively, whereby maybe you have clearly defined terms and you know that there's a win-win situation for both the locals as well as the investors that are coming in. So we're really focusing more on responsible sourcing of the raw materials as well as the mining aspect.
And so following on that train of thought, in terms of that responsible sourcing, Elyvin, so you mentioned that if you're selling one of the raw stones, that could be, less than $1.50 in terms of what you get from it. But if you then process it, or you've got that beneficiation up until that finished product, you're then getting $20, which is a very nice margin. Do you think that because you're doing it in country, is there an additional value add in terms of the fact that it's yourselves doing that? Because you see this sometimes in different gemstones as well, in terms of the provenance of them. Actually, if you can prove that provenance, there's an additional value on top. Are you seeing any of that?
Yes, I actually can see a value a very strong value to that. Basically, because, okay, now everyone is talking about doing something responsibly and in the right way. So it's something that we have collected. We have actually added value to it. If we export it at that stage, like if I was to sell it for for 50 cents, obviously government tax was very, very little. But now with just selling at $15, the government will be able to get a bigger allocation. And from that allocation, the government can also actually invest part of the royalties that they're collecting from this back into the environment, now making environmental sustainability and also promoting economic development of the country. So I see a lot of value by adding this, by adding the values or by doing the value addition in country. Just apart from from job creation, I feel like there are so many other opportunities.
No, it's fantastic.
Stop being called the poorest country in the world.
And of course, this is something where, where it's the women that are being trained to do this and doing it. Is this because women are better than men, or is it because it's just different skill sets, or the men are off doing something else? And I say that with a wink.
Okay, no, I fully understand. No, it's a sector that has both men and women, dominated by men, but it also creates opportunities for women. So we're saying that let's do something different, something unusual. And actually, if you go on the grassroots, you see that there are indeed so many women that are supporting, but now when it comes to the level where you're now marketing the stones, the men will dominate. So most men in Malawi, it's either they are doing the physical work of mining the stones, or if not, they are facilitating the selling of the stones, even though that stone has been mined by a woman or was processed by a woman. So we are also trying to look at how best can we create opportunities for women economic empowerment. But also it's a sector where women do face, women who have actually championed the sector, they also do face gender-based violence. So how do we also come in with the knowledge or with information on eradicating gender-based violence in the sector?
Yeah, no, I think it's absolutely fantastic in terms of what you're doing here. A few more questions, if I may, and they are coming in thick and fast in the Q&A and everything, which is great. Just in terms of the, I guess, the ownership structure. So you mentioned that, say, some Chinese companies had come in and actually were using the owners of the land to get access to that. In Malawi, can land be owned by men and women, or is it something that the rights are predominantly owned by men, or how does that work?
Okay, so actually now we have a law which supports land ownership for both men and women. You can either choose to do it joint ownership if you are a couple, if you're a family, or you can also choose to register in the name of you as a woman or as a man. There are no restrictions.
Good, that's fantastic, because it's not always the case.
Some people have also misused it because some have married women in order for them now to have access to land. So
I'm going to move swiftly on from that to one final question. That is terrible. This question comes from Richard Harrington, and he says, "Hi, Elyvin, really interesting, and thank you for your talk. Have you stimulated a local jewelry industry as well as obviously selling internationally? And so, do you have the local jewelry that's coming from this, or is it something that everything is actually being exported?"
Okay, so we are actually in the process of doing that. We have started doing at small scale. Like I have my colleagues in the Nyasa Mining Cooperative. A ring that I'm wearing here, it was given by one of my colleagues who is in the Nyasa Mining Cooperative. So as a cooperative, we do have some people that have gone advanced of making jewelry and selling it locally as well as exporting. And there is a website called Virtue Gem. I don't know how many have visited it, but they do market stones from Africa, particularly Malawi, Zambia are the direct beneficiaries of that. So we also do place our products on that website. But I want to be honest that we have started at a smaller scale, but we're hoping to expand or to grow.
Brilliant. So you have in part answered my final question, and maybe if you could take that website link and put it into chat, that would be brilliant, because I'm sure everybody would be really interested to have a look. Final question is there anything that we as that international community could be doing to support you, other than, of course, buying your products?
Oh, okay. Yes. Actually, as I said, that this needs to be done like in a multi-stakeholder approach in order to support. We have these associations and these cooperatives, but who are still in need of knowledge, especially on the responsible sourcing, on how to be safe on environment, geo information, like even the previous presentation, I think it was fantastic. You'd also want people to have that knowledge that in the areas maybe where they're exploring, what are the chances of finding the gemstones that they want, or maybe what the mine lifespan. And so in terms of knowledge, yes, in terms of investment, we would actually welcome people coming to support in the investment aspects, like the private sector engagement, and even in lessons learned. So there are quite a number of areas. And I know that there are also people that have experience in other countries doing the very same things that have supported Zambia. So if the same support can also come to Malawi, like to this association, that would be fantastic. And yeah, maybe by any chance there would be a company that produces or that makes equipment. There's also opportunity that maybe you can partner and then to see how best we can have a win-win situation towards that. Like we are able to process the gemstones using the machinery that they are producing. So I open up that yes, support is needed from the international communities, apart from buying, marketing, and knowledge. Thank you.
Fantastic, Elyvin. So please do put your details into the chat, because I'm pretty sure you're going to get some people contacting you with some ideas, etc. So thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the wonderful Elyvin. That was brilliant.